So my name's this is my Integrale Evolution 2, one of 215 in blue Lagos. Purchased the car back in 97, so I've had it for 23 years. It's been in the family for 21 years. I parted with it for a couple of years and then got the car back. In terms of ownership, everything is original. The engine has had some modification. Back in 98, I took it from 220, which was a standard horsepower, to up to 310, which was a big horsepower gain, but not through a remap, but through mechanical upgrades. It's basically given me so much pleasure and joy over the last 24 years, and yeah, it's a very iconic car from the 90s. If people know about Lancias, Integrales, 6 times World Rally Championship car, 6 years on the trot. Lancia basically dominated that era with the 037, the S4, the Integrale, and then finally Lancia just pulled out of rallying as they had nothing else to prove. I fell in love with the Integrale when it first was launched in the UK back in 94. Went to the motor show, which was back at Earl's Court back then, and yeah, saw a red one which had, I think, a beige or a tan Alcantara interior, and then a year on, a few other colours came out, but at the end of the run in 95, they produced 215 in this colour. So I really had my eyes and heart set on this colour, and yeah, it's been an absolute joy, a pleasure. As you can see, they only built them in left-hand drive. There were a few conversions to right-hand drive, but they weren't really the driver's car in a right-hand drive. But left-hand drive, I've always driven left-hand drive cars. Absolute pleasure. Being four-wheel drive, it grips like hell. Again, based on the rally car, that's what it was renowned for, the actual four-wheel drive system on this car. It basically shook and took the challenges to Audis back then. And yeah, it's just a phenomenal car. Even a car that weighs almost 2 ton. It's just sheer pleasure.
My name is Manjit. I've owned this car for 15 years. The car is a Datsun 160J SSS. I was brought up in Kenya and saw these cars in the rally, and basically any Datsun, especially the PA10, it's my passion. They won the Safari Rally in 1979 to 83, 4 consecutive years with Sheikh Mehta, and I was there, I watched it. People have dream cars about Ferraris and everything. My dream car was a 160J. It's a bog standard car, it hasn't been restored. It's totally original. You'll probably see some marks on it, and it's just the character of the car. So I've retained it that way. As soon as you start touching up, you don't know where to stop. I want to preserve it as it is for the time being. It's a standard engine with twin SU Hitachis, 5-speed dog-leg gearbox with 1 down, and the only modification it has is alloy wheels, and there are no plans. At the moment, no plans, but I can see that it's deteriorating a bit, maybe in 5 years' time or something. There's no plan for selling it, but you say you don't want to sell it, but circumstances can force you to do things that you don't want to do. But it's for keeps.
My name is Nishit Kambaita. Datsun 1971, 510, 1400. I've had it since about 2017. Been doing a lot of work on it to bring it to how I want it to look, really. And it's based on a replica of what my dad used to have. literally, basically, to the point, really. A lot of the stuff that's on the car used to belong to my dad, and he used to rally that in the East African Safari in sort of late 60s, early 70s. I used to be quite a young boy then. I was about 9-10 years old in East Africa before we moved here. So the car, yes, I played in the car. I have very fond memories of everything, not just this car, all the cars that I used to rally. So that's the principle where I base the car on. Driving experience with the old cars, you've got to be a driver. You couldn't be driving, say, just past your driving test and get into one of these. You'd have a heck of a time. You physically got to drive the car. The drive's not driving you, you're driving the car. You feel everything. It's all standard, this car. I haven't modified it to make it easy. So you haven't got power steering, you haven't got power brakes or anything like that. So you've got to be quite strong to drive it. If you want to drive it fast, you've got to be able to handle it. But saying that, they're incredible because you feel everything. You feel the road. How it is, not like made up or not like a newer car. Everything you've got to work at it, but it does give you good return.
Hi, my name's Gerds, known as VW Singh. This is my Mark 1 Golf that I've had since 2006. I've always been into V-dubs. I've had a number of Golfs in my past, and then I got into track driving, and I decided I want to take it a bit further. So I purchased this car to build into a track car, and it's snowballed since, really. So this started life as a 1.3 driver. I didn't want to ruin any more GTIs because I'd ruined quite a few beforehand. And everything you see here is custom. So it's got a Group 2 body kit on it, wide track suspension, which have all been custom built to my spec. It's got a 2-litre 16 valve Golf engine from a Mark III, which I've custom turbocharged. So that's now at 450 brake horsepower. There's a whole host of parts in it from different cars. It's got a 6-speed gearbox from a Mark V Golf in it, with a plate diff in it. It's got Brembo Motorsport brakes on it. It's got certified roll cage in the car, custom fuel system, a home-built ECU system, plumbed-in fire extinguisher, and various other bits and pieces. It's got like custom pedals in it and things like that as well. It's raw and it's brutal. So it's not built to be friendly. It's not built to be driven on the road. It's built to go fast on circuit. So it's designed to turn, it's designed to stop. So it's very vocal in the way it moves, but it's a pleasure to drive at the same time. The last track day I did was for my 40th birthday, where me and my friends decided to go to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium and Nürburgring, where we spent a whole week driving around the circuits and basically annoying supercars. So that's what's fun about this car. People don't expect such an old car to be so fast, but it really is very capable.
Hi, my name is Datsun, and this is my Datsun B310, and we've had it, well, my dad and I have had it since 2004. My dad's from East Africa originally, so when he came here in the 80s, they got into their Datsuns. So he bought this, and my dad used it for quite a bit, my uncle. It was basically a rot box, and then a few years ago we decided to basically do a full restoration on it. So it's had new sills, arches, the paintwork done to it. We've stripped the underneath, completely repainted it. All the suspension has been powder coated, the bolts plated. It's had a full engine rebuild, so it's got a hill climb engine in there, 5-speed gearbox, and then it's running bike carbs and a full stainless steel exhaust system. It's not easy to drive it around on the streets. All the power is kind of up high in the rev range, so it's quite a difficult car to drive, especially when you're cruising around town, but it's good fun. It's just an excuse to keep revving it.
Hi, my name is Jaaksfilm, and I love Porsches and Alfas, and for me this is one of my favourite. I used to run lots of GT3s. I used to speed quite a bit, but now as we're getting older, I decided to go back to my 356. I had one of these in 2002 to 2007, loved it. So decided to go back to a slower car, and this was, for me, the perfect bird. It's the thoroughbred, you know. I mean, these guys, Ferdinand Porsche, ended up making, you know, people's car for Hitler, but he walked away from that in 1950 and started designing Porsches. And he brought the 356A first, pre-A's as well, A and then the B. And in the B, James Dean sadly passed away because the cars couldn't stop. Then they developed 356C with all discs all the way around, so they can actually stop. So this is what I loved about this, that it not only can go, but also it can stop as well. So it's got discs all the way around. No modifications. This is from 1964. It's the last model, which is called a 356C. And it's as simple as anything. Whether it's a right-hand or left-hand drive, I always think central. And it's a beautiful car. Anywhere you go, people just want to snap, snap, snap. In fact, the shape of this is a bubble. When we were kids, we end up drawing our first car almost like a bubble. So whether you're a kid or a grown-up, this shape never leaves you. So it's just unbelievable shape. And I love driving this, whether it's an everyday car or a weekend car. The Alfa that I have is a 1974 1600 GT Junior, but it's been upgraded by Ian Alice. He's one of the top mechanics. He's put 2-litre engine in that, pushing about 185 to 195 bhp, and the speed on that is just incredible. It knocks almost everything for 6. It's pushed M3s, M4s in a corner because of its weight. It only weighs 860, which is brilliant. It's also almost like driving a go-kart. So that's really my everyday car. Anybody that wants to have an interesting car or brand, they should learn about these two brands and then go for either of these. I mean, there are cars with some history, but the history is only back to about 50s, 60s or 70s. But something like Alfa, it's 110 years old, you know, and it drives beautifully. I've been into these for over 25 years and loved Porsches since I was a kid. And one of the reasons why I got into Porsche was I came over from India. I studied in India for a few years, born in Kenya. And everybody that came over from India and Africa, they loved Mercedes. And for me, Mercedes was kind of okay. But when I started learning about Porsches, since I was 15, 16 years old, I've been in love with them.
So BMW never made an M3 estate / touring. Surely if you've already built the saloon, then how difficult is it going to be to transplant all of that hardware and engine into an estate, which is, well, funnily enough, that's precisely what I did.